And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now in the CZ studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here at the Patriot Mobile. Mike at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing?
Not too bad. Just trying to stay a little dry over here.
Ask me how many cups of blackout coffee I've had today.
How many cups of blackout coffee have you had today?
I've lost count.
Oh, okay. So a couple pots.
Been up with little Huey since 1:30 in the morning because it was raining, and Huey's afraid of the rain because she thinks that's thunder. So I just was forced to play Huey Dad all night. And I made her famous because I was on 97.1 FM in St. Louis, and we were laughing about that. They thought it was, they thought he's got a gentle side? He's a little Shih Tzu dad? I said, yeah, it shocks a lot of people. So I made Huey famous in St. Louis, and I drank blackout coffee. I've been drinking it all day. It's the only way I've been going.
All right.
Between that and very loud guitars. Hey, we're on all platforms, brother, so why don't you tell people where to get involved in all that stuff? And I'll just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a long day like that, blackout coffee is the trick. And I've got one right here, fresh cup right here. I think it's cup number 5 or 6 today. Greg, go ahead.
All right, yeah, places to watch the show. We're going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can head over to X and watch us at AAR Mark. You can always head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And to join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome in on a Tuesday, brother. How many cups of blackout coffee have you had today?
I had a quadruple espresso earlier. I honestly don't know the brand. It kept me going pretty good.
Well, we're going to have to change that. Greg, make a note. Let's make a note. Lee, we need to get you some blackout coffee for sure.
All right, make a note. Here we go.
He's not making a note. I'm just saying that. He's just saying that. He's not making a note. He's going to be on vacation in the next week or so, aren't you, Greg?
That's correct. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Good. Staycay. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I'm jealous.
That's a little bit of traveling around Texas.
Well, that's a vacation. Well, traveling around Texas is like traveling around all of Europe.
It can be that big, yeah, but not that far.
It can be that big. Lee, you know, you did crazy stuff. You ever jump out of an airplane when you were in the military?
No, I did it after I got out of the military.
Okay, well, that's just dumb. You do that when you're forced to be in the military when you're young. You don't do that stuff when you wise up and grow up, man. You don't do that. Come on.
You do it for fun.
No, see, that's
fun.
even dumber.
It's fun. It's a good time.
It is.
You ask him what he's going to do for fun.
If your chute doesn't open, you got the rest of your life to get it fixed.
You sure do.
That's exactly why I don't do that. I've never put it in that perspective before, but you're absolutely correct. And that's a very short rest of your life, unless you're immortal. I don't know. Now, Greg's going to be diving in lakes and stuff that I just have no desire to see what's down there. I just don't. I don't care what's under the water.
It's just the coolest thing you'll ever experience in your life. Way cooler than playing guitar.
Okay, that's a stretch, but that's
no,
just
it's 100%.
No, okay, no, no. I actually teamed up with a bunch of friends of mine in Tampa. If you know anything, as you do, Lee, because you live in Florida, you know where Zephyr Hills is. The jump site's up in Zephyr Hills. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got talked into going up there with a group of about 8 or 10 people, and well, I got there and I saw the plane, and I said, yeah, no, you guys have a great time, and they did. They did, and every one of them that jumped said it was the biggest rush they've ever had. They couldn't wait to get back up and do it again, and I decided right there and then that, no, I don't care about that rush. It was cool for me to watch them come in. I'm not going to do it. So anyway, call me what you want on that stuff. Hey, Lee, we have a lot to talk with you about, not the least of which is you've got a new piece out today in a special report. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the program, Lee is the investigative journalist for Second Amendment Foundation, and he is a real, true investigative journalist. He does the hard work. Okay, Lee gets out and investigates, and if you followed anything that he's written about Tate Adamiak, that's one of the highlights of his investigative career. I can say that safely. You've done a tremendous amount of work there and are making a difference, and it is going to be a big part of that kid getting free in the near future. We don't have any Tate updates for this hour, ladies and gentlemen, but if something breaks, you're going to be the first ones to hear about it. But he's got a special report up at Armed American News right now, when Florida police act like they're working in California. Lee, I don't even like that headline. Florida and California in the same, like there's a commonality there. Can you educate us here, please, because this is disturbing?
Yeah, it all involves a 28-year-old Floridian named Travis Smith. He and his buddy, they were out shooting July 5th They go up day after 4th of July. They go up to his grandma's, which is in the middle of nowhere in Southwest Florida, and they shoot for an hour. And they're shooting 2 of his Glocks, a 12 gauge, a 9mm pistol, a Ruger 22, an AR-10 that Mr. Smith had built himself, and what he believed was a Springfield AR pistol. Drops his friend off. He's around midnight. He's heading home. He's stopped by a Pinellas Park police officer, and he pulls into a restaurant parking lot. The officer told him he stopped him because his tag light was dim, if you can believe that, which he strongly disagrees. And he pointed out he's driving an old, nearly 40-year-old Mercedes wagon, and the bulb he uses is an actual bulb. It's not a modern LED, which are brighter. Unfortunately, Smith's buddy, who has a valid Florida marijuana medical card, had left an empty container on the back seat, which the officer saw, and he told Smith that's his probable cause. He's going to search his vehicle. So Smith gets out and is told to take a seat on the curb. And he's searching Smith was there for 3 hours. And they brought in all kinds of guys, including some guy in civilian clothes, wearing a face mask and a ball cap. Things changed when they found his AR pistol. They pulled out a tape measure and they began measuring it. And he's kind of bored. It's been 3 hours. He's been sitting on a curb. And they come over, put handcuffs on him and throw him in the back of the car. And they start quizzing him about his AR pistol. He didn't know what the issue was. They told him that he was under arrest for possessing unregistered SBR, short-barreled rifle. Come to find out, he'd had the gun for like 7 years. A couple of years ago, he's at a gun show. He sees a new, what he thinks is a brace, and he buys it, and he puts it on the gun. Lo and behold, it's a stock. So now he's got an SBR. He didn't know it. So then they arrest him. They haul him in for possessing an unlicensed SBR, which, brother, that's a second-degree felony in Florida, punishable by up to 15 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. He also got a couple of tickets for not wearing a seatbelt and for the no tag light. They charged him with a misdemeanor for the marijuana that wasn't even his. There's not even any marijuana in the thing. It's just residue.
All right.
So I called.
Go ahead.
I called the Pinellas Park Police Chief, some cat named Adam Geisenberger. He didn't want to talk about it. He wanted to hand me off to his public information officer. I don't know. I don't want that. I want to talk to the guy. The next day I called Chris Brooks. He was the tipster on this. He might have been on your show at some point. He's a long-time gunsmith, and he's held nearly every job in the firearms industry in Florida. He said he wasn't 100% sure that this stock was a stock because it's shaped so oddly. But he completely understands why this young man could have made the mistake and popped it on his gun. He's got some issues with it being a stock, Chris does, and I trust him because, the guy's been around forever. So I called our buddy, Sheriff Hoffman, and if you have time, I got to read you his quote, brother, because it says everything you want to know about the case. Kurt Hoffman, Sarasota County Sheriff, said, when you have a citizen with no criminal history who is not using firearms in an unlawful manner, and you find what could be perhaps a technical violation, and it takes you 3 hours to determine whether you have a crime or not, perhaps the best thing to do is take the offensive firearm part off the gun and send the non-criminal on his way. I'd like to think that law enforcement, when encountering someone who is not acting in a nefarious capacity...
How do you take a stock off on the side of the road?
Certainly the other firearms there were not illegal. He had 9 other guns, brother. And they seized them all. So Kurt says, so I don't know what their intent was to seize them. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy.
All right. Now, I'm going to go in a different direction here, and I hope there's a very good attorney listening to this. Because, Greg, how much time do I have? I don't want to. We have 30 seconds. Perfect timing, Lee. I'm going to leave it right there. When we come back from the break, I'm going to give an attorney advice. And you know what? I am not a lawyer, but I smell a rat here, and it jumps out at me. And I guarantee there's an attorney out there right now that knows what I'm going to say when we come back from this break. Lee, you probably do too, because I don't think this goes far. I really, truly don't. And when we come back, I'll explain why. I don't think it goes far. Sheriff Kurt Hoffman has been in contact with me a number of times over some of these court cases. I expect on having him on the program here very soon. He's the real deal. He's a sheriff you want to have in your county, ladies and gentlemen. We'll reach out to Kurt in the very, very near future to bring him on a Sunday Monster Cast to talk about this and all of the other exciting Second Amendment news that's been happening. But when we come back, I'm actually going to give an attorney some advice. Let's get back over to Lee, the Gunwriter Williams. Now, Lee, a couple things jumped out at me when I heard you. And as I read your story earlier when it came out, when it was first released. And as I'm listening to you, he was given a ticket for no tag light, but he was originally stopped for a dim tag light. All right. Now, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be any defense attorney worth his salt is going to immediately file a motion to suppress. This was an unlawful detainment. It sounds like he was on the side of that road for 3 hours.
Correct.
Did they bring a dog out? I saw you have a picture of the search. Because the clock starts ticking at a certain time, and from that point on, the purpose for that stop. Now, I don't know what medical marijuana, that's legal in Florida. And if you've got bona fide medical marijuana and a medical marijuana card in Florida, is that even probable cause? This is open for so many arguments. I can see a motion to suppress this being granted.
It's open for a ton of arguments. Unfortunately, the pot wasn't his. He has no card. It was his buddy who he dropped off earlier. He's got no issues with it. He just threw the can in the back seat when it was empty, and that's that. Not realizing that he's going to get stopped. Is that good probable cause? No. Might it be probable cause? I don't know. That'd be up to a judge to determine. I got a huge problem with the 3 hours it took him.
Well, yeah.
And I've got a whole bunch of other issues, too. Namely, they charged him with a statute, in a Florida statute, possessing an SBR that I don't think is probably used maybe once or twice every 5 years. Everybody who gets charged with possessing an SBR is usually charged through the feds, through the ATF, through the U.S. Attorney's Office. Going through Florida for this charge, I don't know if it's going to happen. There's a bunch of things we're going to be doing about this story that I hope it gets it into the right hands and gets killed. This man does not need to be charged with anything. I don't care if it's the pot or the tail light. His light was on. I don't see any reason for a stop.
Yeah, that's where this motion to suppress is going to come in, and not knowing any of the other details there, this just smells bad. And this is a this is a fishing expedition. Now, this was not Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. This was Pinellas Park Police, correct?
Correct. It's not the Sheriff's Department. It's a little 100-man agency with a chief who evidently doesn't like to be forced into trying to take responsibility for the conduct of his officers. Well,
interestingly, I don't believe if this were, and I don't know this, I'm just going to guess this based on past history. If this was Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, I don't think there would have been a fishing expedition done like this, and I don't see Bob Galtieri's troops doing anything like this, to be honest with you. Now, I don't know enough about Pinellas Park Police, but it seems like a stinky fishing expedition all the way around, and there appears to be, at least on the surface, grounds for a motion to suppress, which is, any defense attorney worth their salt is going to file that. It would seem to me that there might be a very large case for that to actually be granted here, which would eliminate a felony charge. Maybe the marijuana charge sticks because it wasn't his and he didn't have the card and it was in his car. Guys, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this, okay? You don't want to be these people. You don't want to be the people who wind up in this situation. Know what you're putting on your gun, number one. Now, you have a photograph in there. Is that the actual gun?
Yeah, and the stock is lower down in the story.
Okay.
That's the AR that he bought. He put the stock on it that's lower down. And does it look like a stock? Yeah, kind of. I don't know. That's it.
Well, it does to me at first glance. It does not appear to be. It's easy to distinguish, to me anyway, who's trained. It's easy to distinguish between the stock and the pistol brace. Greg was asking the question during the break. How do you, as Sheriff Kurt, our good friend, who we want to bring on the program, we'll talk about this for sure. And Kurt's probably listening. Kurt, if you're listening, expect a call, brother. But Greg asked the following question: how do you even take that apart on the side of the road without the proper tools, etc.? And my response was, at that point, when you're looking at a felony charge, just go ahead and surrender the weapon and worry about getting it back later and eliminate the felony charge. You can fight the rest of this out, but a felony charge at his age is life destroying. It's done.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, even the charge right now is crushing his civil rights right now, just being charged with this. But guys, the lesson.
That I don't
go ahead, Lee. Go ahead.
They took the rest of his guns.
One of the cops admitted were really nice guns to him.
Yeah. Kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen to those.
Pinellas Park, guys, you're listening down there in Tampa, Florida, man. You got nothing better to do here? Seriously? How many people were out there? You said how many cops showed up?
At least a dozen over the 3 hours. But what gets me is he wasn't using this firearm in any kind of negative capacity. He wasn't using it to hold anybody up. He'd just been out shooting. It was cased and in back of his car, in the station wagon, in the very back, cased like the rest of his firearms.
Well, your headline's right. Your headline's right. I mean, this is California, New Jersey, New York-esque, Illinois-esque, Maryland-esque, all the way around. It really, truly is. It is shocking because it's Florida, ladies and gentlemen, and there's some folks are out there saying, look, it's a stock. It converts the gun into an SBR. He should have known the law. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. I don't deny any of that. That's why I'm telling you, know what you're putting on your gun, ladies and gentlemen. Period. You don't want to find yourself in this position because you're ignorant of the law. Now, if there's no motion to suppress on this is going to wind up likely being a plea, hopefully down from a felony to a misdemeanor, but none of this should occur. This is so avoidable. This kind of stuff angers me to the nth degree because it should never, ever happen. And Sheriff Kurt is absolutely right. Pinellas Park, it's called officer discretion. You know who you're dealing with. You know you don't have a criminal in your presence. Come on, man. Come on. And this is why when good law enforcement, this is what hampers good law enforcement is crap like this that gives 100%. All cops a bad rap. Come on, Pinellas Park. Come on. You got real criminals in Pinellas Park. I know that for a fact. Okay? I used to live there. I know. In Pinellas Park, lots of palm trees, really pretty, right over by the golf. There's some really crappy areas in Pinellas Park you should be policing to make it a hell of a lot safer, not hassling this kid. We'll be right back. Lee the Gunwriter Williams. During the break, I got angry. Because in a situation like this, I hate when I see people. This kid is 28 years old. I had to clarify that with Greg when he asked. He's 28 years old, man. And now, because he's been charged, he's a mess. Just because he's got the charge hanging over him right now with it's a felony, it screws up his life. And, guys, it's avoidable. It's 100% avoidable. But I'm going to give you some advice right now. If you're, look, medical marijuana, guys, it's legal, okay, in Florida. They're probably not going to prosecute that. But there's a thing called the Plainview Doctrine. Be aware of it and understand that when it is visible, that officer, unfortunately, for him, is going to be right. I don't know Florida law. Maybe it's not, but it wasn't his, as you said, Lee. So is that a violation of the Plainview Doctrine? No, it is not, because who admitted it wasn't the one driving the vehicle. The kid who was driving had it in the vehicle, and I guess that Plainview Doctrine comes into play. He didn't need consent. And at that point, buddy, shut your trap. I'm not interested in having a conversation. I exercise my Fifth Amendment rights. I do not consent to any searches. I'm done talking. I want a lawyer. End of discussion. Lee, you were a cop. Tell me I'm right or wrong, please.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think I would have had any conversation with the officers about anything. I will say this. I said in the headline that it kind of reminds me of California. But Florida is not California. We've got one itinerant crazy officer in the department who seems to be acting in contrary to what their public wants. So I'm hoping that there's somebody listening or somebody read the story somebody in a position of power who can do the right thing and help this young man.
Yeah, now, you know what we're doing? Now we're begging for assistance from public sentiment. I don't want to find myself in that position, dependent on public sentiment to determine what my future is as a felon or an inmate. I don't want to be FDOC number 177469. I don't want that to happen in my life. Guys, be smart about things, okay? There's enough advice here to go around all the way around. And if you're a cop in Florida pulling people over for tint violations, you ain't nothing but fishing expedition, because every grandma and grandpa in Florida has a tint, and so do you in your car. Give me a break. You know, oh, golly, it just drives me nuts because this kid's now got felonies and he's got no criminal record. Use some discretion. I can't wait to get Sheriff Kurt on here. Sheriff Kurt, you know the number. If you're in and you're listening, give us a call. I'd love to have you on the phone right now. I didn't want to wait till Sunday. Lee, I'll give you the exclamation point on this. I guess you're going to follow this.
Yeah, it's not over. It's far from over. And I think it's Florida. It's not California. Justice will prevail here, brother. Mark my words. Justice will prevail.
Yeah, and what you got to go through until justice prevails. The amount of money.
True.
The fear. Because I guarantee you, this is the only thing on his mind when he wakes up and the last thing on his mind when he goes to bed. It's not the way to live your life. It's just not. Be smart about stuff.
We should readdress his criminal history or lack thereof. This kid hasn't had a ticket. Okay, he's had a ticket in his entire life, never been arrested for anything, and now he has the potential of becoming a felon, which to me is just crazy. If he was out there pointing it at people, robbing banks, doing whatever, using the gun illegally, hey, by all means, it's an SBR. Tear him up. Give him 10, 15 years. But it was cased, unloaded, and he just got back from doing some target shooting with his buddy.
All right,
so,
I understand. I understand, ladies and gentlemen, that this young man's father is in our chat right now and is listening to the program lively. I've just been informed. Greg, during the break, maybe you can work some magic in here, because this should not be happening. Period. And let me just say that I just found that out. So let me look in the chat here when we go to the break, okay? And I appreciate him being in here. We'll see what more we can find on this, because this is oh golly, I mean. All right. I'll deal with that during the break, Lee. For right now, I got to move a little bit quick. I want to talk with you about Amy Coney Barrett real fast, because there's a what do we have, Greg?
You got minutes.
Okay, we have minutes. I thought I heard you say something else there.
I didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Greg's getting ornery over there. Sorry. I didn't mean to accuse
no,
Greg. He's in pre-vacation mode. He's figured out what he's going to do with his chickens and everything, before he goes diving.
Look, hold on. I did not say anything there. I've been quiet over here. I don't know. You're hearing things now at this point. Maybe it's the
amplifiers. It's the amplifiers, I'm sure.
Or having been up since 2 a.m. or something. I don't know.
It's probably all of that combined. Amy Coney Barrett's record tells a troubling story. Lee, I don't know if you've seen this. I hope you haven't seen this, to be honest. Have you heard this story about Amy Coney Barrett's record?
I heard she had an interesting story. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, it's titled Amy Coney Barrett's Record Tells a Troubling Story. Before the Dobbs decision, which we all know is the abortion decision, she voted with the conservative position in 81% of non-unanimous cases. Since then, that number has dropped sharply into the 50s, her voting record. And we just saw what she did with the liberals with Roberts in the voting and the birthright citizenship. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because when I saw this, and this was sent to me by Ryan Petty, who's also likely listening. Ryan, thank you for giving me some content on this, because it's very, very important, because we have these two Supreme Court cases that have just been granted cert on the assault weapons hardware bans, both the Illinois Cook County case and, of course, the Connecticut Citizens Defense League case, Lee. And I got to be honest with you, it kind of just firms up my theory and confirms what I was thinking all along. I look at this as positive, because she concurred in Alito's opinion in the Wolford case, as you know, and wrote that very lengthy, bizarre concurrence that didn't say anything other than I agree with every. Basically, she said she took every one of Alito's positions in the majority opinion, and she just agreed with them. This seems to confirm for me that she was letting us know her 2A chops on these two upcoming hardware ban cases, And I think that, to me, I could be wrong here. Maybe it's wishful thinking. But she is signaling and letting us know, and this affirms for me, I think, at least personally anyway, that that's what, in fact, she was doing. She was firming up her 2A chops, letting us know that, yeah, I've been doing this. Yeah, you're going to see this stuff. Yeah, this is what the numbers look like. Yes, I knew I voted this way. You haven't seen it yet. I know that cert's been granted. It hasn't been made public yet. That's why I'm saying this, and you'll see why I'm saying this in about a week. And lo and behold, we have. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I have no fear when I look at those numbers when it comes to Second Amendment chops with Amy Coney Barrett specifically because of her concurrence and her votes in the other cases. So when we come back, we'll talk with Lee, the gunwriter Williams, about that, and we'll see if we can't get something on this young man's father who is in the chat. We'll be right back with Lee. Don't go away. One more segment. Lee, the gunwriter Williams, welcome back in. So here's the deal. We've got the young man's mom is in the chat with us. And, Mom, we got your back. I want to let you know that. And Lee, the gunwriter Williams, he's not going to let this go. And you've read the comments in there. TX Huntsman, Texas Huntsman, our good friend over there, has made it very clear. And you've made it clear, too. Lee, I just want to let you know that she's also commented that we are so blessed to have Lee in our corner. And we just let her know that, Mom, we've got your back. Here's the deal. We will not bring your son on because this is ongoing. We don't want him to say anything on the air that would jeopardize his case. And I would love to talk with you. We'll talk with Lee about working that out here after the program today. But I've read your comments in the chat. And, yeah, I'll just read one. He got the only tyrant working that night. And I'll leave it at that, Lee. Okay, Mom, you're spot on with that. I couldn't agree with you more. And I hope when you heard Sheriff Kurt Hoffman's words that helped you a little bit. And I don't know. I just don't see this going very far. It's just very sad that your family is in this position right now. But guys, use this as an example, please. Everything is a teaching moment. Everything is a teaching moment. You're a human being. You can make a mistake. Okay, the kid made a mistake. Now you know, okay, well, I don't want to make that mistake either, and I guarantee he's never going to make the mistake again. And unfortunately, when bad things like this happen, we want to use this as a teaching moment for everybody to not find yourself in the same position. Make sure
this
you
kid
know.
needs AOR.
Yeah, Greg just said he needs AOR. It wasn't a self-defense case, but I did think about that when I was mentioning that. So anyway, there's a lot of moving parts here, Lee, and I have to agree with Texas Huntsman and everybody else in the chat that very glad to have you on this. And I hope Sheriff Kurt's comments do not ring hollow with you, Mom, because Sheriff Kurt knows what he's talking about. And you've got support from a very high-ranking sheriff down there as well. So we'll get public sentiment on your son's side. Lee, I was going to move on to other things, but I think going back to this, let's just wrap up with this. We've got 4 more minutes. This is just wrong.
I have to wrap up with Alan's comments. Alan Gottlieb, who founded the Second Amendment Foundation, said, quote, "This young man's life, as he knows it, may be over. Even if he doesn't serve a full 15 years in prison, he'll become a convicted felon and unable to legally possess firearms, which he very clearly enjoys shooting. I was extremely surprised when I learned that this happened in Florida and not California, New York, or New Jersey. Law enforcement needs to understand the harm that can come when they act so overzealously. By charging this young man with a second-degree felony, they may have ruined his life, or they have ruined his life. That's a real crime here. I certainly hope that there is a judge in Florida who sees it this way," said Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation.
Yeah, and Alan knows what he's talking about. Mom, you've got a lot of power in your corner here, okay? When you've got Alan commenting on this right now, you've got Lee as an investigative journalist. You've got great comments from the sheriff. As I read through some of these comments here, Mom says, he took all the firearms as well. The cop told my son, "You have some very nice guns." Okay, thanks for that. 7 total, no inventory report, and it appears that you guys have, in fact, filed the FOIA already for the dash cam, the body cam footage, and everything else in any inventory that they might have. It says we did put in a FOIA request for all items seized, dash cams, and much more, so good for you. And sadly, she says to me, "I feel you, Mark. I've had very little sleep in the past week dealing with all this. I can't even imagine what you guys are going through." And yeah, this is the kind of stuff that should never happen. And again, if you're a police officer out there, and we have a lot of cops that listen to the show. I've talked to so many of them. You're all great people for the most part, all of you. But there are bad ones out there, Lee. As I've made comments before, there's a bad judge, there's a bad lawyer, there's a bad doctor, a bad dentist, there's a bad accountant. There's a bad Walmart worker. There's a bad somebody of every walk of life sitting in prison somewhere because they did bad things. All right? And when you've got discretion and you can use it, you use it.
Use it.
Use it. Particularly in a case like this. Let me see. No criminal record, no nothing, never done anything wrong. He's never had a ticket. All right. Young man, yeah, I can see how you made the mistake. Here's what we're going to ask you to do. Then give him the ticket for the light, and he'd gladly pay it. Okay? Good heavens. I could... Oh, Lee. Back to Amy Coney Barrett real quick. Mom, we'll be in touch with you. Amy Coney Barrett, is my assessment of that correct? Do you feel the same way I do about that after seeing that she knew all this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think she's become one not to worry about, thank goodness.
Well, boy, yeah. You know, our freedoms in our Bill of Rights is not just the Second Amendment. It's all of the amendments. Yeah. And I am going to be fair here, at great risk to getting some gnarly comments. But when I see that she's voted 70 to 80%, it seems post-abortion case, post-Dobbs. So a lot of people are saying that that's an accusation or proof that she has caved into the threats. Remember, after Dobbs, there were a lot of physical harm threats to the justices, as you remember.
Yeah.
The Democrats were wanting them to go to their homes and threaten their lives. That happened. We saw it with our own eyes. That she may have weakened and caved and is afraid of that. There's a lot of accusations flying about that right now. I don't personally believe that to be the case. And I really, frankly, since Dobbs, you've got a Supreme Court justice that's on for a minute. I don't even know that there's been enough time yet, because these, the justices are going to ebb and flow. Now, you look at somebody like Thomas. Thomas ain't ebbing and flowing about nothing. You know where his bona fides are. So I can certainly understand why there's questions about Barrett right now. But I'm not going to say Barrett was ever a Thomas to begin with. We want everybody to be a Thomas. But, we should be so lucky, shouldn't we, Lee?
100%. I don't know where she's going, quite frankly, but she can only improve in my book.
Well, let's see and hope that she gives us a really good start. And she has voted with us in the other gun cases. So that's why I don't have any fear of her at this point. And again, when I look back, I think that's why she wrote the concurrence the way she wrote the concurrence, was because she knew all of this in advance that we did not know. And I think this just firms it up for me. I don't fear her in a gun rights case. But it will be interesting to talk to Mr. Gottlieb about that. I did send him that information, and I am waiting for a response. And when I get it, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk with Alan about it, or I'll get a quote from him that we can use on the air, because I have learned my lesson a long time ago to never put words in Mr. Alan Gottlieb's mouth. If you do, he will, in fact, call you out on it. Lee, where can people find you? You got 10 seconds.
They can go to thegunwriter.substack.com. They can go to armedamericannews.org. I hope they go to SAF.org. SAF is in Second Amendment Foundation.
That'll work. You guys have had enough of me and my blackout coffee today. I'm going to play a little guitar and drink some of my Cove Pure water to flush some of the caffeine. Guys, I love you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Mom will be in touch shortly, and I'll see you on the radio tomorrow.